There has been many a great collapses in this era of college football. What you witnessed earlier today was just incredible. Just incredible. Oh my gosh. So, where are you at as a program right now? You're not in a good place. You have a lot of question marks that you need to have addressed when it comes to staff. And remember these uncomfortable conversations we talked about firing certain individuals? I think you may have to do the same thing when it comes to a guy like Shane Beamer. Maybe where you at right now. We are live, ladies and gentlemen. This is South Carolina Live postgame show, our continued analysis of the epic collapse that we saw earlier today. We're going to continue to take calls. I know a couple of you have called throughout the night. I did not get to answer them because I was off the air. But we are live. Phone lines are open. 843-350-2534. 843-350-2534 is the number to call if you want to get involved with the show. Every post-game show is brought to you by our good friends over at Underdog Fantasy. Going over to UnderdogFantasy.com or download the Underdog Fantasy app on your Apple or Android device and use the promo code VOCFBSC. And when you play your first $5 lineup, you will get $50 instantly in free bets. That's code VOCFBSC. When you play that first $5 lineup, you will get $50 instantly in free bets. Must be 21 or older, not available in all states. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. That is 1-800-GAMBLER. Where we left off on our play-by-play before we got into some of the phone calls, because I know Wes called. I know we had a couple of other people that called. By the way, Texas and Georgia right now in the midst of playing. Florida on upset alert against Ole Miss, which honestly, I'm not quite surprised. But there's a lot around the SEC that I think a lot of people are genuinely shocked at what we saw. Oklahoma, Alabama, what a freaking game that was, man. What a hell of a game that was. Probably one of the best games that you'll see all year in the SEC. But this is what happens. By the way, South Carolina at one point had almost a 97% chance of winning this football game. I'm sorry, their highest was 97.8% chance of a win probability. And then the tide shifted. Tide shifted. So let's get into the rest of it. Andre Miller, says stays. J.E. says that was pathetic today. Good to see both of you guys up in here. We do appreciate you guys continuing to show up in here. By the way, guys, make sure you send in your super chats if you want your comment read for sure. If you're watching us on Twitter, hit the repost button, hit the heart button. Tell 5 Gamecock friends around you that we are live and that we are breaking down a complete disaster of a second half that we saw earlier today. By the way, you guys killed it on the post game. 5,000 of you joined in, and we had 48 damn comments. Wow. Wow. Oh, man. You left points on the board, man. You left points on the board when it mattered most. We'll get to them. You had a lot, and even goes back to the first half when you had great field position, you got inside the red zone, and you turned what could have been 6, and you had to settle for 3. You get a big interception after you get an 80-yard touchdown after Nick Harbor breaks off a tackle and shows you the track speed that he has, 2 plays later, you force another interception, and you're all the way down to the Texas A&M 25. You know what you do on those 3 plays? You get inside the 10-yard line. You have a little dump out to Brady Hunt that goes for 2. You have a bad throw to Brian Rowe. You have 6 seconds left, by the way. So you would have had one more chance to go to the end zone. You know what you do? You settle for 3. But you're up 30-3. That's the bottom line. What does Texas A&M do? First drive of the game. By the way, I tweeted this out at the end of the first half. You have them mentally beat. This is your game to take over. This is your game to control. You score one more time, you have them beat mentally, they're going to check out. You did it last year, and they checked out. Just like that. But remember, this is the second half Texas A&M team. They proved that all year long. First drive of the game, you would have throw to KC Concepcion for 13. They get the quick game going. They were going to do that. You'd have a pass to Ashton Bethel Roman, which, by the way, it wasn't that long ago that I was talking about Ashton Bethel Roman being a very underrated receiver in this Texas A&M receiving corps. All the attention was focused on KC Concepcion and Terry Bussey and Mario Craver. I think people forgot about what Ashton Bethel Roman can do coming out of high school. I said that he could be a very special player in due time. It was only a matter of time before he popped off. Today was his get out, or his breakout game. You're going to expect a lot more. I promise you, you're going to see a lot more. He was a 4-star coming out of high school for a reason. Just saying. You get KC Concepcion for 7. You get Josh Morrow up the middle for 8. There's a 10-yard penalty after Ruben Owens busted a 13-yard one. There's a holding call, and it's backed up. Marcel Reed would have an incompletion, Ashton Bethel Roman. You get another PBU. And this is where the game turned for you. This is where the momentum started to shift. It's 4th and 12. You know that they're going to have to throw the football, but you got to put a spy. What does Marcel Reed do? He steps up. He gets one-on-one with a linebacker. And Fred's there. Fred's there. He's got to make the tackle. Whiffs. Marcel Reed makes him pay. First down. Two plays later, he takes a deep shot to a guy that, by the way, to Isaiah Williams. By the way, Isaiah Williams had only 2 catches all year. 2. I'm sorry. He hasn't had a catch at all this year. At all. He's had 2 catches in his career. He had 3 tonight. So stupid, dude. Oh, your secondary got burned today. And I thought that this was going to be an advantage for South Carolina. What does South Carolina do on their ensuing drive? Well, not bad. You have a deep shot to Jaden Sellers that gets you to midfield. You would have a loss of 3 from Matt Fuller. You'd have an incompletion to Nick Harbor. Lenore Sellers would be able to step up in the pocket and be able to get out in the open space, and he picks up a first down on 3rd and 13. You're at the A&M 39. You get Dre Jacobs over the middle or across the right on the quick hitch, and he gets 3. Matt Fuller would have a gain of 5. Matt Fuller would crash right up the middle for 1. 4th and 1. 4th and freaking 1. You have a 2. Let me repeat that. It's 4th and 1 from the 30-yard line of A&M. You could have taken the points, and you could have made this a 33-10 game. Either or, it has still been a 3-possession game. Fourth and freaking 1, and you have the best athlete on the field that's going off, that's having the game of his life right now, up to this point at least. What does Mike Furry do? Let's run a draw with Matt Fuller. He gets shut down at the line of scrimmage. Now A&M's got some momentum. You know what they do with that? They shove it right down your throat because you don't know how to get off the field you don't know how to counter, and you don't know how to play a complete game as a defense. Marcel Reed would throw to Barkerker for 7. The tight ends killed you today too, dude. Ruben Owens up the middle for 5. Ruben Owens for 3. Marcel Reed for 5. Marcel Reed on trying to get to Ashton Bethel Roman. 4th and 1. Terry Bussey's wide open in the middle of the field. 1st down. You know what happens the next play? Ashton Bethel Roman springs wide ass open on the post because you sent the heat. You sent 6 in the box. Bam. Looked like you didn't get there in time. They gave you enough pass protection. Bam. You took advantage of that. Touchdown. They got the mo now. You know what they do? When that crowd gets energized, and when you can't counter off of those plays like that, that crowd's going to get back into it, and they're going to mess you up because they're more talented than you. They're more talented. Roswell Faison would go nowhere. Lenores would try to go to Dre Jacobs. He gets 4. And then Nick Harbor would have another overthrow trying to go to Nick, or not even try to go to Dre Jacobs. He'd have another overthrow to Nick Harbor. Congratulations. They now have all the momentum in the world. And they're going to take advantage of that. They can score quick. Did anybody fail to mention that? I don't think they did. Don't think they did. So, about to welcome our South Carolina family on or not our South Carolina, but our Instagram family on to South Carolina. What a joke, dude. What a freaking joke that this was. It's a 3 and out. Here comes Texas A&M. Ashton Bethel Roman springs free again for 76 and gets a 1st down. Incredible, dude. Very next play, it's Borkirker again for a touchdown, 30-24. Jaden Sellers would run for 13 on the jet. You'd have a loss of 1 from Roswell Faison. Lenores would run for 4. Lenores would have another incompletion to Dre Jacobs. Then you got to punt the football. You pin them at the 2-yard line. At the 2. They're at the 2-yard line, guys. You try to go over the middle, try to get into Casey Concepcion. It's incomplete, but there's a very questionable pass interference on Judge Collier. I didn't think it was pass interference. They were both hand fighting with each other. Did I think it made a difference in the game? No, because you got your ass whipped in the 3rd quarter. You gave up 21 in the 3rd. Go to Casey Concepcion for 10, and you can't tackle in the open space. Ashton Bethel-Roman for 15. Ruben Owens for 5. Isaiah Williams for 15. Isaiah Williams incomplete. Ruben Owens for 6. Marcel Reed, you lose contain to him. He goes for 8. Josh Morrow for 2. Marcel Reed for 25, touchdown, but there's a holding penalty. So you get away with 1. Very next play, though, they get it all back because Marcel Reed has all day to throw. You've put no pressure on him. You get lost in coverage, and Casey Concepcion springs free and gets 31. By the way, hey, I was high on Peyton Williams and I was high on Brandon Cisse 2 weeks ago. They sure didn't play like draft picks today. If I was a secondaries coach, I'd have pulled their ass. Problem is you don't have depth at safety or corner. E.J. Smith would get a touchdown for next play. You know what happens after that? You can probably guess. Jaden Sellers left for 2. Lenoris gets sacked twice. Oh, my God, dude. Lenoris took 2 sacks. Lenoris took, I think, 3 sacks today. The one on 3rd and 15 was egregious. I mean, that was ridiculous. He's standing there, and he's just going to take a sack. That's ridiculous. Not to mention, Casey Concepcion puts them right into good field position at the 45-yard line. E.J. Smith would run for 15. He'd get a 1-for-1 over the middle to Casey Concepcion for 14. E.J. Smith gets shut down at the line of scrimmage. Marcel Reed would go to Isaiah Williams for 8. He gets a complete. It's 3rd and 2. E.J. Smith makes the catch. They review it. They said it's good. I thought it was a catch. I don't know why they were reviewing it. I think they were just trying to see the spot of the foul or the spot of the ball, which was pretty obvious. He was at the sticks. But E.J. Smith would run for 4. E.J. Smith would get shut down. Justin Morrow would try to get cute, take the direct snap, and try to throw it back to Marcel Reed. It's fumbled, and J.R. Johnson manages to recover. You're back in the football game. Your defense gets the stop they need so that you can potentially go down the field and score, which you need. You throw to Jaden. It's incomplete. Try to go short to Nick Harbor. Incompletion to Dre Jacobs. 4th and 6. Lenoris is able to step up and find Nick down the sideline. Gets 18 and gets a first down. Massive play. Jawarn Howell would go for 9. 2nd and 1. Lenoris gets pressured. Bam. Sack. 3rd and 12. He's got plenty of time to throw the football away, and he takes a sack on 3rd and 12. Oh. He took 3 sacks in this football game, dude. 3. 4th and 16. Instead of trying to throw it to the sticks and throw it to your receivers, he tries to run with it. And he gets shut down by Cassius Howell. Ball game. Ball game. Guys, that's a fireable offense. That's a fireable offense. And you may not want to hear it, but God, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. That you have legitimately pissed down your leg over and over and over and over. But this is who South Carolina is. It is time for Shane Beamer to go. You don't want to hear it, but you have to hear it. And I get stupid shit from South Carolina media that says, "Oh, you have no idea what you're talking about. Oh, who are you going to replace then?" It's going to be somebody that's going to win me games. It's going to be somebody that's going to know how to be competent when running an offense. It's somebody that on 4th and 12 is going to tell their quarterback, "Hey man, we ain't taking sacks. We're not." That's ridiculous. Oh man, dude, I'm so sick of this team. I'm so sick of this team. I'm so done with it. So done with this team, dude. I'm sorry. By the way, guys, I don't know if many of you even tuned into the original post-game show that we did. You guys killed it. We had over 5,000 of you that came back and viewed our channel. And guys, we got 15 more subscribers. So, man, I appreciate it, man. You guys are the best. We appreciate all that you do. But look, man, this is where you are at right now. It is time to clean house. You got to fire everybody. God bless Clayton White. You shouldn't have gave him an extension because of the inconsistencies that you've had on defense. It's time to clean house offensively because of how bad you have been since the end of last year. Really, since the bowl game last year. Let me rephrase that. I would really even say that Clemson game from last year. But guys, welcome to this year. This is who South Carolina is. For the second time in 3 games, you now have open heart surgery once again. You blew a lead late against Bama when you dominated for 58 minutes, and you blow another lead by 27 when you dominate for half of a football game. What did I tell you guys on Tuesday when we talked about this? You can't play patty cake and you can't get cute with this team because they're going to you up. They're going to find ways to mess you up. You know what they did? They went out in the second half and they made adjustments. You got so conservative in the second half that you were trying to preserve a damn lead that you allowed for these stupid decisions to come into play. And we had a couple of you call in and said, "Hey, man, you keep it real." And I appreciate that. I really, really do appreciate that. I don't sugarcoat anything when it comes to this team. I don't. I have no reason to. I'm not in South Carolina. I only started covering South Carolina 5 months ago. But damn, I'm going to keep it real. I'm going to keep it 100, as y'all say. So, what are you going to do? You have this game, dude. You had this right in your hands, and you consistently find ways to just shit down your neck. Oh, by the way, his buyout is only $8 million. Actually, I think it might be more, but that's what I saw. If you guys know the exact number on his buyout, that would be great. I do believe if he is fired today, he would be owed almost $28 million today. Which, compared to what we've seen as of late, is relatively cheap. Relatively cheap. God, but if you fire him next week or after December 1st, you would, I believe, I'm trying to find it, guys. I'm sorry. He wanted to puke. By the way, that's what he said in his press conference, too. You don't look at the scoreboard when you try to dominate something. You just keep going. Guys, I said this last week. You have got to make a change at quarterback. You have got to make a change at quarterback. I'm sorry. I cannot accept for my leader to go out there and take sacks when the damn game is on the line. He took 3 in the last 2 possessions. For those of you who are in the chat, are you okay with that? For the best athlete on the field to take 3 sacks in 2 possessions? I'm sure the guys on the Welcome Home podcast would. I'm sure y'all would. They had minus 9 yards in the first half rushing. They were outgained by 158 yards in the first half. They outgained South Carolina by 295. $295. I'm curious to see the first half and second half stats from this game. By the way, call-in lines are open, guys. 843-350-2534 if you want to get involved in the show. $30-3. Okay. So thank you, J.E. If he's fired without cause, the buyout is $27 million. Okay. What is the buyout after December 1st? One Gamecock show on YouTube calls you a psychopath and a miserable person. Who would that be? Call him out. I don't care. Go for it. James Morris says, why do people still defend Beamer? If he loses to Coastal, will some still want him? Hell no. Hell no. VT don't want him. Everybody was talking about how he's going to take the Virginia Tech job. They've already looked towards James Franklin. They're about to hire James Franklin. Of course it is. Of course it's that show. Why am I not surprised it's Inside Gamecocks? Guys, here's the problem with the media that's in Columbia. They are not honest. I get it that they're going to defend South Carolina. It's their home flagship school and their home main focus. Guys, you have got to be real about this program. You've got to be real about where you are right now. And to be quite frank with you, you better start looking at some changes. I know you may be a little late to the party, but you may. I know this is a very infamous name now with South Carolina Athletics. I talked with Chris Phillips, whom you guys are all aware of. I'm sure all of you love him. And I'm sure, and I got hate earlier for saying, oh, who do you cover? Is it South Carolina or is it the SEC? Make a decision. Whatever, dude. You're mad because I don't cover just South Carolina. Get over it, bro. Whatever. But nobody wants to tell you the truth. So I'm trying to look up the box score and look up the first half highlights. I'm sure there is some. I figure there would be. Okay, so this kind of took me off a little bit. You know what South Carolina had in the first half alone against this team? 141 yards of offense plus 171. They had 312 yards of offense in the first half alone. In the first half alone, South Carolina had 312 yards of offense. They finished with 388. So that would mean you had 76 yards of total offense in the second half. The second half, you had 76 yards of offense. That's frustrating, guys. That's what is so frustrating when you talk about a team that on paper is arguably one of the more talented teams in the SEC. And then you look at them right now and you look at what they've done. You've shot yourself in the foot and you have not made any adjustments. At the end of this season, I would be calling for if Shane Beamer is not fired at the end of this year, I would be floored if he is not the first head coach to go after 2026. The first head coach to be fired in 2026. He needs to go after this year, in my opinion. Beamer's 32-29, probably going to end up 33-30, 1-2 in bowls after 5 seasons. I get about what he's done for the program. I understand that. But he is a recruiter playing the role of a head coach. Remember, this is Ray Tanner's hire. You have a new athletic director. We have emphasized this all season long. Jeremiah Donati is going to have these tough decisions that he has to make. He is. And whether or not he likes having these decisions, these are decisions that he does not have a choice. He has to make these decisions. You know why? Because this is his athletic program. This is his job. This is his livelihood. This is what he has to do for the betterment of him and the future of South Carolina athletics and for the money that's coming into this program. You better be able to get yourself back into gear and to make the changes that you necessarily need to continue to to get back to your, I wouldn't necessarily say glory days, but be more of a dark horse. Continue these 8, 9, 10 win seasons that you've had before, I should say. Guys, you went from this season being a number 11 ranked team. You have a Heisman Trophy contender at quarterback, and now you're sitting at 3-7, missing a bowl game. Guys, if you lose to Coastal next week, you got to fire Shane. I'm sorry, but you have got to. I don't know if he lasts in 2026. I think it would be smart because I do think Carolina has the money. The question is, are they going to spend it on firing him, taking the $27 million hit, and then having to come back and get all that money to go get another head coach? Because who would that be? I don't think you're going to be in the Lane Kiffin sweepstakes. Eli Drinkwitz, I highly doubt, is going to take the South Carolina job. You got some decisions that you got to make, man. Some very, very tough decisions that you're going to have to make between now and December 1st. You have a long ways to go. You have just over 2 weeks to make these decisions and to make the changes that you have to make. Texas A&M in the first half had 132 yards of offense. 132 yards of offense. And I know we shouldn't be taking Coastal Carolina for granted. I know that they're not the best team in the Sun Belt, sitting at 6-4 this year. They're not bad. I mean, shoot. Their 4 losses are to Virginia, who's atop the ACC, to East Carolina, who's incredible this year, who's looked damn near unstoppable, Old Dominion, and Georgia Southern, all 3 of which are going to be bowl-eligible teams in the Sun Belt Conference. I don't think it'll happen, but still, don't take that team for granted. Don't take that team for granted. Who would we hire? That's exactly what my point was, is that who is going to take the job? That's why I say that you have some decisions that you have to make. I definitely would like to see Glenn Schumann potentially be a candidate. It wouldn't surprise me if he doesn't, though. It depends on the relationship that Donati has with people that you've had before at times. But Donati's got some decisions, man. Are they hard decisions? Absolutely. Absolutely. J.E. says Hardy for Missouri has 225 yards rushing entering the fourth quarter. James says they're charging more for home games and taking fan seats for the renovations. Need to have a better product on the field. If the on-field product doesn't change, then that's going to lead to more fan decline, because I've heard this a lot. Is when you have changes like that are consistently being made, and if the football is bad, how many fans are really going to even show up to Willie B next week? So The one thing I will say, though, is that you better be looking out at TCU. That's where Donati came from. So that's why I say that you needed to throw a bag at Kendall Briles to potentially be your new offensive coordinator. But I wouldn't be surprised if you make a stab at Sonny Dykes as your next head coach. Let me explain. Donati was the AD when Dykes was the head coach there. You may think, oh, it's weird. That's weird. Why would he even hire him? He has no connection to South Carolina. It actually wouldn't be a bad hire. Let me ask you guys, how would you feel, TCU head coach Sonny Dykes, how would you feel if he became the new South Carolina head coach? Be honest. A lot of experience as an offensive mind, very, very high offensive minded coach. You've seen what he's done with guys like Shane Buechele at SMU, seeing what he's doing now with Josh Hoover. I know that Josh Hoover's not necessarily the most mobile quarterback in the world, but he's made some great hires and he's continuing to build upon this TCU team. He's done well in the portal and he's helped guys that have really, really evolved from the quarterback position. The only weakness I do see is their lack of a run game. That's the only issue that I have. When it comes to Sonny Dykes' teams, is that there's not much of a run game that you see from them. And that's something that South Carolina really needs to hit hard on this upcoming offseason. So that's just my opinion, guys. I mean, you guys can obviously favor differently, but that's who I wouldn't be surprised if they end up going after if they do decide to fire Beamer. I don't know if they will at all this year. I would recommend that they do because you're not trending in the right direction from this point forward. That's why I say that guys like Sonny Dykes or Kendall Briles or whomever else around that TCU program would be a better hire compared to a program compared to guys like Beamer. Now you could also, I will say this. What do we think of Jerry Kill as a new potential head coaching candidate? He's now currently a senior consultant with the Vanderbilt Commodores. But everywhere that he's gone, there's been changes. And there has been turnarounds from certain programs. Minnesota has been to a couple bowl games. And before PJ Fleck came in there, when Jerry Kill came in, Minnesota was not a very well-respected Big Ten program. They weren't good. When he came in, he was able to lead that team to bowl games, 3 straight bowl games that he led them to. Didn't win any of them, but still had some success. When he took over at New Mexico State, one of the worst Division I programs at the time, you know what they did? Won 10 games. Diego Pavia was their quarterback. So he has a history too. Him or Vanderbilt's current offensive coordinator, Tim Beck. How will the relationship build with guys like that in the building? Think you'd have a system quarterback that could fit this Tim Beck offense that I think could really take it to new heights. That's just my opinion. And you guys can disagree. We can all have these different conversations about that. But right now, I don't think it'd be nice if we could throw some names out there. I'm just throwing it out there, but I know at the end of the day, it's not going to be my decision. Donati is going to have these decisions that he's going to make. But the final from today, guys, an absolute collapse. South Carolina blowing a 27-point lead, Guys, thank you so much for hopping on in. I can't believe we had over 5,000 of you that viewed that 25-minute stream that I was struggling with my Wi-Fi majority of the time. I know I sucked at it, guys, but I hope that you can transition over to here to this 45-minute stream. We continued our live production. I'm surprised nobody called in, guys. But hey, thank you guys so much. Y'all have a great rest of the night. We'll see you guys back on Tuesday for another edition of South Carolina Live.
College football is even more exciting when you've got some action on the line, and the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the Voice of College Football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread, and I've got a 40-plus year track record. 11-0 in the college football playoff for me last year against the money line, 8-3 against the spread. And I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill of Wager Talk is our ace in the hole, show stopper. 7 years with the Voice of College Football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick. 28-12 against the spread the last 3 years. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Corey Bratta, Matt Zemek, and Steve Dace. Check out those numbers. Become a YouTube or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and then select the betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2025 a winner now.